Hello, news has collusions with the phrase mental health, and they're pretending they're making examples of free speech that are fake. In other words, they're stealing people's speech and then they're playing "Hear no evil, see no evil." They have wire crime methods and acts in digital crimes, also with their sources interbranch in the forensics and the state judicial branch offices and corrections offices of Connecticut. Only time I know of Ray Close recorded like one time, um, like he brought a gun he had, a pellet gun. Told me to pick them up. In other words, I picked them up with somewhere on Two Rod Highway. That might be some of the people. I don't even know their names. They were sitting in the back seat of the car. These are people constantly planting things and evidence of fake motivations. So he put the thing in my seat, and he's sitting in the front, and they're sitting in the back seat. So I started driving down a street, not far from their house now, on Two Rod Highway, a, a Victorian house. Increasingly, people involved with the Phil Cololo, involved with some sexual and medical offenders of kids, with judges and prosecutors in whiting forensics, are increasingly involved with the Phil Cololo too, with the Bob Chase, and people involved with the UN, and the Facebook pages Interbranch and the FBI, involved also with courts and the judicial branch offices and corrections offices. Anyway, so he put that thing. There was two kids, and he told me to pull in. The kids are walking there, and it seemed like they knew them. It was some kind of thing. So I took the gun, in other words, and I shot it in the air near them, and I just went and brought them home. In other words, I barely know Ray Claw. Only time I know them too. Like, real quick, I saw them at the community center, and the only time I ever saw them inside the community center, a Ray Claw and a Joe DeMoro. Joe DeMoro has roles with the Ray Claw with a Dillon family involved with some home break-ins, and with they've been putting fake things in databases with their educators and people that used to live in my area who were involved with teachers from other classrooms and kids from other classrooms with them putting fake things in databases and their roles with prosecutors and judges and doctors and the businesses and houses next to Harvard Hospital. They have overt criminal enterprises and private ones. A bunch of people from UConn. They're students and doctors in foreign and domestic military. A bunch of people with UConn tied to a Mike Pandolf. I only know him seeking me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm collusions with this, all sides of criminal and civil cases in the courts at the same time, putting fake things in the databases. Same thing with the depositions. They have roles with a whole bunch of other people too, planting evidences on all sides of the campuses I went to, including with the depositions, trying to make it look real. And behind my back with people in the campuses, with my teachers, all along Route 175. Chris Walters is also through time involved with organized crimes with kids and sexual and medical offenders of kids involved with Washington, D.C. And two speech class teachers I had, and other teachers with a Mike Pandolf involved with wire crimes with them, wire crime methods with them, with police switching and forging names, refusing to identify themselves, with people all along Route 175, people from New Britain, Connecticut, and Central Connecticut State University have roles with a Mike Pandolf, a Ray Reynolds, Eric Jensen, a Mike Roberts, a whole bunch of people with federal evidences crimes in my area, with the houses involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids, further with their extended family members, time collusions with them. These are not legitimate roles with the military leading up to the World Trade Center attack. These are roles of the World Trade Center attack, names at the place and next to it. They have rules, all kinds of natures of trade that are still criminally foreign influence, tactical delusions, raw, that are in relative ways where they have the people tied to them. The news has collusions with the interbranch, refusing to identify themselves legitimately with a whole bunch of other countries and their family members at the same time. And the people with the state judicial offices and corrections offices. Increasingly, people that are neighbors of a Keene family have roles with identity theft, frauds, and slanders with their educators, putting fake ties and fake natures of ties to me with them. I never had a conversation with a Dan Keene in my life. I never saw him around a campus in my life. A bunch of people I never saw around campuses have roles next to the state judicial branch offices with federal evidences crimes and with murders and body dumping spots and confessions tied to their roles with the investigators tied to that, like the Dillon family. And Enzo Fianza is one of the ones with his cousin too, next to the judicial branch offices and next to the on Two Rod Highway, involved with houses there, increasingly involved with body dumping spots and confessions tied to it, with his neighbors and himself and his family members involved with that. In the body by dumping spot of Billy Grasso, Syntax. His people across the street from him of South Civiello is also increasingly involved with whiting forensics, with organized crime groups, and with planting identity theft, fraud, slanders. Increasingly, people with former mayors from Wethersfield and other mayors of Connecticut, also with the name Fianza, have Syntax on Facebook, and Facebook personally and professionally involved with them with sexual and medical offenders of kids and their narratives regarding free speech. They're not speaking free. Get them on paper, one name in sequence with the police forging and switching names with them. They have fire departments roles too. They're implying it's roles with nuclear too, because they've been using the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie so overtly and timed intercities. They're making confessions to me relative to the way they're making them to the breaching method, because a whole bunch of other countries made time collusions with them. They're communicating other than they speak. So in other words, that was his gun too, and he brought the loaded gun in my car. They're trying to make fake exceptions of notice in me. These are people at Trinity College increasingly planting evidences with my neighbors, with Wethersfield police that attached me to fake conversations with them as a kid, now as an adult. Increasingly, Luigi Guerrero, I only know him he was in the same car as me, with people trying to make fake ties, fake natures ties to me. I didn't have communications with them, trying to bore me to death and then pretend I have conversations with them or what, I don't know. But they have something to do interstates with their colleges and universities, with a Paul Zano, who sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm he has roles with sequentials interstates with a Johnson in Wales and a Ray Collo, involved with state police families interstates, and some prosecutors and judges involved with sexual and medical offenders, also with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, people from Mexico, people from Puerto Rico, involved with this police chief Cintron, people from Puerto Rico with the name Cintron, also with them with O'Brien's, with the Sandy Hook campuses, and people from Pakistan and other countries involved with all kinds of medical corruption there, and people associated with Adam Lanza and Hartford Hospital's Institute of Living, involved with all kinds of fake transcripts, fake ties, and fake natures of ties to kids. Increasingly old Wethersfield locations, the founding locations, and people that had conversations with my name in the background. Since I was a kid, it's recorded. They've been lying to my family members about me, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me where they don't have the right to lie. In other words, increasingly, a Delafair family has judges and their family members, and they affected confessions to me by a guy, Dina Vallis, also about their roles with New Britain Avenue and conjunctions to it, and Wethersfield and Hartford and Rocky Hill. There's two of them in Hartford. It has something to do with the FBI and New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts that affected confessions to me and requests for help before the World Trade Center attack. I didn't know all the names involved. It's also leaders of kids and their kids, abuses, and of other kids. All kinds of fake things are put in the databases. It's relative to where and how everyone's speaking about mental health is a bunch of fakes, while tactically delusions raw. If they weren't, where they wouldn't leave out black people's rights of eyes. There are women and men judges. There are women judges, male and female, black and white too, with some black KKK, Confederate flag theme, Latino theme, Italian theme, putting fake transcripts at Wethersfield Police Station, fake ties, fake natures of ties to people with that. And then they're putting fake things in the databases. God knows what they told the judges. We need to get them on paper, one name in sequence. Increasingly, the business office at Central Connecticut State University has roles with people intercities, with the Saudi attackers, and our country's roles with a whole bunch of other countries, foreign domestic military. Military families from Yukon are also ones involved next to Trinity College and next to Central Connecticut State University, with people that have been planting predicate acts on my street and roles from other areas doing that, as the ones involved with the houses involved. with the extended family members that brought up their roles with the principal child abusers campus. Phil Cololo further has more sexual and medical abuses of kids and people with whiting forensics and foreign and domestic intelligence with them. People that have been associated with him since he was a kid and his educators putting predicate acts with facts in databases. I never had a class with him in my life. I never saw him in the inside of a school in my life. I only saw him one time from the outside of a school from a distance, and the people next to me were trying to pretend fake ties to me at the same time. There are proofs that they have roles taking pictures to cover up their roles recorded with predicate acts with all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the court's names and the names of their positions at the same time, use remotely criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw, and the news at the same time, and increasingly people with conjunctions to body dumping spots and going out of their way to plant evidences, fake ties, and fake natures of ties to me. Sal Civiello is involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake motivations for how and why I know him out of campus. They try to make a fake exception of knowing me. Sal Civiello. In other words, I didn't even respond to him. He's planting evidence with his neighbors and people tied to body dumping spots and people with the state police and forensics, like Joshua Julian and Eric Jensen has roles with their family members with state police places along the Berlin Turnpike too. And where those two marijuana dispensaries on the Berlin Turnpike were years before that. Increasingly, those two places were brought up by confessions of people involved with probate court judges and their family members, and same ones involved with Superior Court judges and their family members, and District Court of Connecticut and their family members, who have timed collusions with proven child abusers, leaders, and kids years apart, and their roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders. People don't even know, like a Brian Silver, is increasingly involved with people with conjunctions to Route 3 and the state judicial branch offices, with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases in the Britain Superior Court, involved with people at crime scenes, and with their forging and switching names, putting fake things in databases. The Facebook page of the Britain Superior Court is also involved with rape threats while the principal child abuser was being forced, with others involved with their educators with that too, and other leaders of the kids past that were forced too, and more now and then. Also, neighbors of O'Connor house. I don't know if there was a Thomas O'Connor. I never had a personal conversation with him. A Joseph DeMoro, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed him also with the FBI and demonstrated, and others with Eric Klotz, who came into my sixth grade class from New York City per them when I was in sixth grade. And increasingly, my sixth grade class has people. Well, there was a sixth grade. A person that lived on his street named had three kids at least, and named Bernstein. He was a sixth grade teacher, but he wasn't my sixth grade teacher. He tried to make two exceptions so he could plant fake things in the database, made us grow mold. And then God knew what he put in the database, but I opened the thing. I didn't know. It was dangerous. He goes, "Oh, it's so dangerous. Throw it in the trash." So I threw it in the trash, didn't say anything. He's planted fake evidences with people on all sides of my house since I was a kid, since my grandmother moved here. Increasingly, people tied to them with the Air Force, the military, the Navy, and my like places where my grandmother helped clean clothes at a school, next to the Southstein Middle School when I was young. They spread all kinds of lies about me to those schools and other schools with the people involved, with the names next to it too. The same thing, identity theft, fraud, slanders with people next to it. Try to take fake pictures tied to people. And increasingly, a sub-Vigero planted evidences on all sides of my high school. I never even saw him on the inside of a school. I never had a class with him. Increasingly, a sub-Vigero and people tied to him, involved with on all sides of Central Connecticut State University in the Britain, Connecticut, increasingly with intelligence families involved with putting predicate acts with facts and fake ties and fake natures of ties and fake transcripts, even with doctors, fake diagnosis, fake conversations with kids, with doctors, and they're pretending that my mother pretended that I had a ties to get a doctor as a kid. I never had conversations with a doctor as a kid. I never had a diagnosis by a doctor as a kid. They're putting fake things in databases. They're forcing people to speak as groups and with everyone around them because I caught them intercities. They don't know what I'm going to talk about. My family doesn't even know about it. That's just a little trick they use. They put fake conversations. But people don't want to speak with them because they already recorded themselves. The police recorded themselves confessing that they switched names as a threat to my family and as their roles with the World Trade Center, with WFSB News and the intelligence associated with them and next to them and next to Fox Connecticut News. They attached my family to faked and changed communications about the World Trade Center. And we were in the court next to the World Trade Center attack right before it. Leading up to that, in it and since, a whole bunch of people involved with our side's roles too are the ones who have time collusions with Saudis too, with the people with the name Mendez at the Wethersfield Police Department. With the older one attached me to a fake conversation with him there. And there was no conversation with me with any of them there when I went there. I had someone else ask for the police report. They're involved with forcing Saudis to collusions with them. But a whole bunch of other countries are involved with the people involved with the different people with the name Mendez. I don't even know all their names. They're also next to a campus in West Hartford, Montessori school with that name. I don't know who they are, but I know there are multiple people with the name Mendez with intelligence next to Fox Connecticut News. Also involved with Wethersfield Police, falsified police reports, and fake transcripts at their offices, fake ties to kids, and then fake ties to adults with their officers and conversations with them too, faked as adults too. As their roles with child abusers, leaders of kids forced, I recorded that between campuses and their roles with names next to them. Bob Chase in Whiting Forensics increasingly has a bunch of people from Wethersfield involved with predicate acts with Whiting Forensics in Middletown, Connecticut, as the names evolve too. Increasingly, a bunch of car dealerships and their family members are involved also with ones with the name Cololo at Hartford Hospital with their putting fake things. Also, they run in to have people that run the families of fire departments and car dealerships run in to hide live progressions. People with campus families that answer phones. I never called. In other words, these are people that are all kinds of organized crimes with facts and with people's time treatments. Well, it's not my job. I have to do that. In other words, they have psychopaths originally still at countries A through Z. In other words, that's why they can't even get black and white. They can't even let us talk about honestly about the collusions, the black and white, fake identities, the law integrity here and there. They're still speaking. They're still tactically delusions rot in our face. Get them down. Get them off the fake conversations through administrations too. They put me in fake transcripts, Judge Napolitano. Right through administrations, they did this. In other words, get them on paper when they've been sequenced. Have me stop begging you for it to get them on paper. There's violence involved. I told you there are more people tied to this, Phil Cololo and some intercultural nutbags on my street involved with threatening, repeating the name of one of the persons to me from a swerving on a bike, and then non-verbally, Phil Cololo was swerving on the bike. Only time I ever saw him on the street. Outside of a car. I think I saw him in a car one time. I was him. Increasingly, people involved with them were putting predicate acts with facts in databases at campuses I went, and with the Wethersfield Police and the courts involved with a bunch of courts, family members involved personally and professionally with people named Smith and Cololo, also at Hartford Hospital with their patients and doctors and judges and police forms at the same time, lawyers, all kinds of scam with the security there too. What are they doing with the military, with the Mike Pandolf and the Ray Cololo and the people tied to them like this Ray Reynolds? What is Ray Reynolds and his neighbors in conjunction to him doing with the medicine community? And what is he doing with my name in his mind? What is he doing with the teachers in the background behind my back? Putting fake ties, fake natures ties to me with this Eric Jensen, the state police interstates, and the Wethersfield Police. What are they doing with them? What are they putting in the records with this Ray? Where's this Ray Reynolds and his educators? They have a Harris family too involved with this Ray Reynolds as one of his educators involved with organized crimes with kids and with their kids involved with identity thefts and frauds. They have all kinds of organized crimes and names involved at Quinnipiac University. I don't even know all their names. Increasingly involved with a Brian Silver with New Britain Superior Court, Connecticut's District Court, involved with predicate acts with Fox Connecticut News and with the intelligence next to them. The same ones next to the WFSB, Connecticut's Channel 3 News, the same ones with WTNH sources. Next to WTNH is the FBI, also with wire crimes and digital crimes with sex and sexual and medical offenders of kids. People with New Britain Superior Court also have Whiting Forensics involved with them with digital crimes with sexual and medical offenders of kids. Also tactically delusions throughout black pupils. Watch the premises treatments of these ones speaking in the news and on the YouTube. Watch their premises treatments. Fix the sequence shifts and get me off the fake conversations with Channel 3 News about the World Trade Center attack. What are you doing with the intelligence next to you, Channel 3 News, WFSB? What are you doing? Making me beg you. Why are you making me tell you other things about you? What are you doing with that Wethersfield Police Chief, Cintron, with that Mazzucato Bakery, and with this modern pastry, with this Mile family recorded involved with sequence ships, with his educators too? What are you doing with them? Get them on paper, one them in sequence. I want a response for his confessions too regarding his roles with the DeMorals and saying different things. He's recorded faking things with these prosecutors and judges. This Brian Silver is also by the friends of a whole bunch of people tied to a John Mano. Have this Brian Silver and have a Leahy family involved with him forging transcripts and evidences with them, and their roles with their educators and databases. Increasingly, people tied to a Mr. Neville, like this Rick Cianfaglione, has roles with judges and prosecutors, putting fake things in databases and delusions with this Neville family, and their roles all along Route 3 with federal evidences crimes. People involved with home break-ins in my area, involved with the Wethersfield Police with it too, and state police now too, with one more recent. And they have the fire departments involved with this too. What are they doing with the fire departments, with the Russian and the Ukrainian confessions? What are they doing? What are they doing with Harper Hospital, refusing to get on paper? With this Dillon family, with others I caught them with on my house 3 times on my street, with sick things with the kids, with this Dillon family. Get them on paper, one name in sequence. I don't have a response for the first time. I can't even get a response to me. I had to take that response they gave to someone else through the mail, faking transcripts with me. A whole bunch of people tied to New Britain Superior Court with the names Brian Silver and Leahy are involved also with others, like with the name Lombardo too, with remote uses of the sense and sensibilities of Judge Napolitano, remotely criminally point influence, hyper criminally, tactically delusions raw. In other words, with his Facebook page too, they're changing and faking what's typed. When people type to judges, you have these people with the intelligence, with digital and policing of the stuff, dishonest with and criminally foreign influence with the readings of statutes and precedents, involved with sequence shifts too. In other words, you need to get them on paper, one name in sequence. Please, Judge Napolitano, do what's right for the FBI and New Britain Superior Court and the Harper courts and their family members and their intimate ties in the foreign and domestic military they brought up with the West Hartford locations. Has something to do with their roles with a whole bunch of people intercities, a whole bunch of boyfriends tied to a Bobby Jean as one of the strippers involved with the intelligence at stripper places throughout Connecticut for her and her boyfriends, involved with Covington Street next to Central Connecticut State University, where they've been training intelligence, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, having them repeat vague things and calling that intelligence while they're as collusion/S. Increasingly, the intelligence at Central Connecticut State University are the ones that are the families of them living next to it. The difference of their guilt, that was used remotely too. Their timed collusions with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, a whole bunch of people directly and indirectly with the business department of Central Connecticut State University have roles with a whole bunch of courts, family members, and people from other countries, overt criminal enterprises and private ones, with families from Wethersfield who are also intercities, and on the state judicial branch and corrections offices with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and terrorists too, timed collusions with the World Trade Center attack. Get me off the fake conversations with WFSB. They also have collusions with a bunch of people at the corner of the streets near them, like the corner of Elm Street and Rocky Hill and Wethersfield, and the one both Elm Street and Wethersfield and Elm Street and Rocky Hill, which are conjunctive to the Route 3. And conjunctive to that too is the state judicial branch offices, increasingly rolls with collusions with people at Elm Street and Wethersfield and Rocky Hill, who I don't know at all, and ones that sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confront. They're planting evidences. They sought me out to plant evidences with the people involved, increasingly with predicate acts with the databases I went, all sides of criminal and civil cases. In other words, I never tried to contact Mike Pandolf in his life. I never even met his brother. They're increasingly involved with a whole bunch of people at Trinity College, involved with the Colol family, putting fake things with their educators. And a girl that would every once in a while she would pop up right when I'm about to walk into class, something like that. She increasingly involved with identity theft, fraud, things. People in intercities lied to my girlfriend about me with the FBI director Robert Lusk and his co-defendants and their family members. Increasingly, this girl and with them between campuses I went to, they're putting predicate acts with facts and fake evidences out next to the campuses with them. I don't even know her name. A bunch of people, they're on Facebook too, tied to this Joshua Julian. Their roles with the Coast Guard too. A bunch of people with the Coast Guard tied to Joshua Julian have fake conversations with me, lied to my family, and even where my mother used to live years ago, her neighbors, increasingly. That girl lied to them too. They were someone with people, I forgot their name. Del Mastro, in other words. And that has something to do with his roles with Hawaii. In other words, nice kid. I don't know, but that girl's planting the evidences at Del Mastro. Please get the Wethersfield police on paper with the courts and that girl involved with the Trinity College and the people interstates. There's also another kid with Hawaii involved with Cross Automotive on the South Stein Highway. The intelligence community, of course, sought me out before I ever went there to record, to have them record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. They have collusions with intelligence from the old town, from the old Wethersfield founding locations, all along that main street in all Wethersfield, conjunctions to it, all along Route 175 through Wethersfield, through Newington, and all the way to Central Connecticut State University. And all sides of it are people who colluded with putting fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, and fake motivations for roles with the same house with the extended family members involved with the child abusers, leaders, the kids, first force. And then further with the World Trade Center attacks, same ones with their cousins involved and people tied to them involved forcing Saudis at the Wethersfield police station, collusions with them. Even in other words, get me off the fake conversations with Wethersfield police at the police station when I was a kid and ties to me. Fake ties to me there too when I was a kid and now I was an adult. And with the news, they pretended that too. The news pretends a whole bunch of things, and other investigators use that remotely. This is why and how, before, even when they have people caught for real crimes, there were collusions with the crime scenes already. They were already involved with worse than anything that those little kids could do, or even the adults. In other words, all the exceptions are tied to it. There are collusions with predicate acts and facts methods in between the campuses and the difference of the different campuses and the differences of guilt there or off the campuses. They're acting tied to predicate acts with facts in the databases. Increasingly, the people who seat people next to each other have that criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought. That's recorded too. They're timing where people are going to walk to the cafeteria, who's going to be there, why and how they think about who should be next to see each other or not. They're lying about that. These are people building from when they're in grammar school. Increasingly, people with Hartford hospitals, Institute of Living, have roles intercities next to the campuses with sexual and medical offenders of kids, as ones involved with prosecutors and judges and police forms. So you get them on paper, one name in sequence. You don't keep making me beg. You don't keep bringing down the algorithm with them. The FBI has a Joshua Julian, also involved with whiting forensics, with Facebook, and he's involved with comments here on YouTube, also with people with the name Colol, involved with people at Hartford Hospital, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. There are people with the name Colol involved with them, with sexual medical offenders, fake conversations with me. That's why we need to get them on paper, one name and sequence, and respond to me. They have more, in other words, no one's responding to me, including medical people. You're weak, mental health coward people. Delusions rot, black pupils. They're going to speak about math without black pupils' whites of eyes. How are they going to speak? In other words, how they counter each other's big things. All they do, they're fake. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Where's this Ray Kalala work? Let me get the officer's name who brought him up too. And they put the name Kalala. They didn't say the whole name. I want them on paper with the Phil Kalala further involved with predicate acts on my street and with the campuses, with the sexual and medical offenders, with whiting forensics too, with people involved with the UN. We'll watch this. What are they doing in the Berlin Turnpike associated with this Phil Kalala? What is he doing with my name? Where does this Phil Kalala live? What's he do? Make sure I get them on paper with the courts. Get them on paper, cowards.